If you have ever thought about traveling to the United States to have your baby, or if you know someone who has done it or is planning to do it, stop. Because right now, something massive is happening in America, and it affects Nigerians directly. The United States is cracking down hard on what they call birth tourism, and they are not playing around. People are getting their visas denied. People are being stopped at airports. And there is a Supreme Court case that could permanently change what it means to be born in America. Stay with me on this one, because this video could save you from making a very expensive, very dangerous mistake. Welcome to Social and Travels. Welcome back, guys. If you're new here, a very big welcome to you. This channel is all about helping you travel smarter, understand the world better, and make informed decisions before you get on that plane. I'm so glad you're here today, because today's topic is one that I have been getting so many questions about in my DMs, in the comment section, and even from family members. People keep asking me, is it true that America has stopped birth tourism? Can I still go to America to have my baby? What happens to my child's citizenship? So today, we are going to break it all down. No confusion, no misinformation. We are going to talk facts, timelines, what the law says, what has changed, what is still pending, and most importantly, what this means for you. Grab your drink, get comfortable, and let's get into it. What is birth tourism? First things first, let's make sure we are all on the same page. What exactly is birth tourism? Birth tourism is when a pregnant woman travels to another country, in this case, the United States, specifically for the purpose of giving birth there, so that her baby can automatically receive citizenship of that country. Now, in the United States, there is something called the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. This amendment, which was ratified way back in 1868, says, and I'm paraphrasing here, that all persons born in the United States are automatically citizens of the United States. This is called birthright citizenship, or as it is sometimes nicknamed, jus soli, which is a Latin phrase meaning right of the soil. Basically, if you are born on American soil, you are American. Simple as that. And for decades, families from all over the world, China, Russia, Nigeria, Mexico, Brazil, and many other countries, have taken advantage of this provision. The idea is, if your baby is born in America, that baby holds a US passport. That baby can one day live and work freely in the United States. That baby can sponsor you as a parent to come to America later in life. It's seen as a golden ticket. Over time, entire industries were built around this. There are companies, called birth tourism agencies, that charge tens of thousands of dollars to help pregnant women get U.S. visas, fly them to America, arrange their accommodation, connect them with hospitals, and get them back home after delivery, baby passport in hand. The U.S. government estimates that hundreds of thousands of babies are born this way every year. The scale of this practice is enormous, and now the United States government is saying, enough. So here is where things get really serious. On January 20, 2025, literally his first day back in office, President Donald Trump signed an executive order titled Executive Order 14160, which would effectively end automatic birthright citizenship in the United States. Now let me be very clear about what this executive order actually says, because there is a lot of confusion online. This order does not say that every baby born in America will stop being a citizen. What it says is more specific. It targets two groups of parents. Group 1, parents who are in the United States illegally, undocumented immigrants. Group 2, parents who are in the United States on temporary visas, like tourist visas, student visas, or work permits. The order says that going forward, babies born to parents in these two groups will not automatically get U.S. citizenship just because they were born on U.S. soil. Now, you can imagine how controversial this is. This would be the first time in over 150 years that the United States has restricted birthright citizenship. It goes against how the 14th Amendment has been interpreted for generations. And immediately, I mean immediately, the courts pushed back. Multiple federal judges blocked this executive order from taking effect. They said it was unconstitutional. One judge even called it blatantly unconstitutional. So as of today, this executive order is still not in force. It is tied up in legal battles. But here is the most important development. The United States Supreme Court is now involved. The highest court in the land is looking at this case, and they are expected to issue a ruling sometime in late June or early July 2026. The entire country, and honestly, the entire world, is watching to see what they decide. Depending on what the Supreme Court rules, this could permanently change what it means to be born in America. This is huge. Now, I want to pause here and make a very important distinction, because I see a lot of people mixing two different things together. There are actually TWO separate things happening at the same time, and you need to understand both of them. Track 1 is the legal fight over birthright citizenship. That's the Supreme Court case I just described. That case is about whether the Constitution can be reinterpreted to strip automatic citizenship from babies born here to non-citizen parents. This one is still being decided. Track 2 is a very aggressive enforcement crackdown on birth tourism, and this one is already happening right now. You don't need to wait for the Supreme Court. The US government is already making it extremely difficult and risky to travel to the US for the purpose of giving birth. Let me break down what this enforcement crackdown looks like. Number 1. Visa denials. The US State Department has issued clear instructions to consular officers around the world. If you have reason to believe that a visa applicant's primary purpose of traveling is to give birth in the US, deny the visa. This rule actually dates back to 2020, but it is being enforced much more aggressively now. Consular officers are trained to look for signs of pregnancy during visa interviews and to question travel intentions closely. Number 2. Warnings to Nigeria specifically. This is very personal for us as Nigerians. On July 28, 2025, the US mission in Nigeria posted a direct warning on their official social media accounts. They said, and I want to read this to you directly, "We will deny your visa if we believe your primary purpose of travel is to give birth in the United States to get US citizenship for your child. This is not permitted. Consular officers will deny your visa application if they have reason to believe this is your intent." They even used the hashtags #VisaWiseTravelSmart and #USVisa. They wanted everyone to see it. This was a direct message to Nigerians. Number 3. Airport and border screening. Even if a pregnant woman manages to get a visa, she can still be stopped when she arrives in the US. Customs and Border Protection officers, the people at the airport, are now specifically trained to look for signs of birth tourism. They will ask about your purpose of travel, check your documents, ask about your accommodation, your return ticket, your insurance. In some reported cases, airlines and border officials have even been using pregnancy detection measures to stop women from boarding if they suspect birth tourism. Number 4. ICE Investigation Unit. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, launched a special birth tourism initiative through its Homeland Security Investigations Division. This unit is specifically targeting the networks and companies that help pregnant women travel for birth tourism. If you paid an agency to help you do this, that agency is now under investigation. Number 5. Criminal prosecution. This is not just about visa denials. Running a birth tourism operation is a federal crime in the United States. In 2024, 2 people, Michael Liu and Phoebe Dong, were actually convicted by a jury for running a birth tourism operation that helped pregnant Chinese women travel to the US. They were found guilty of conspiracy and money laundering. This is serious criminal business. Number 6. June 2026 Crackdown Announcement. Just days ago, on June 10, 2026, The U.S. Department of State confirmed that it has launched a sweeping crackdown on birth tourism schemes, reinforcing that applying for a visa primarily to give birth in the U.S. violates U.S. immigration rules. Consular officers worldwide have been instructed to screen applications much more rigorously, especially from applicants who show indicators of pregnancy. So even if the Supreme Court has not ruled yet, the message from the U.S. government is clear. Birth tourism is finished as a safe and easy option. Now let's talk about who this actually affects, because I know some of you watching this are asking yourselves, does this apply to me? What about my situation? The truth is, birth tourism has been practiced by people from many countries. You have wealthy families from China. In fact, media reports have said there are up to 500 birth tourism companies in China alone. You have families from Russia, particularly elites who send their wives to Miami to give birth. The Solicitor General of the United States actually told the Supreme Court that as many as 1.5 million Chinese nationals may already hold U.S. citizenship through birth tourism. And yes, Nigeria is very much on this list. Birth tourism has been common among Nigerian elites and middle-class families who want to give their children a better future. Many Nigerians travel, especially to states like Texas, Florida, Georgia, and New York, to have their babies. I understand why people do it. Healthcare in Nigeria can be unpredictable. Having a child with a U.S. passport feels like securing their future. Access to American universities, the ability to live and work in the U.S., the option to sponsor parents later. These are real concerns. These are genuine desires for a better life for your children. But the U.S. government is saying, you cannot use a visitor visa to do this. And they are backing that up with action. If you are currently pregnant and thinking about this, I need you to hear this clearly. The risk has never been higher. You could be denied a visa. You could be turned away at the airport. You could face a permanent U.S. entry ban. And if any money changed hands with an agency, there could even be legal consequences. This is not the time to take chances. Now let's look ahead, because this Supreme Court ruling is going to be a defining moment in American history, and it affects millions of people worldwide. The Supreme Court heard oral arguments on April 1, 2026, and a ruling is expected by late June or early July 2026. So by the time you're watching this video, we may already have that ruling, or it could be coming any day. There are a few possible outcomes. Scenario 1. The Supreme Court upholds Trump's executive order. If this happens, it would be monumental. Babies born in the U.S. to parents who are here illegally or on temporary visas would no longer automatically receive U.S. citizenship. The entire concept of birth tourism would become legally useless overnight. If your baby is born in America but neither of your parents is a citizen or permanent resident, that baby simply would not be American. The business model of birth tourism agencies would collapse. The Migration Policy Institute estimates that this would affect roughly 255,000 babies born in the U.S. every year who would no longer get automatic citizenship. Scenario 2. The Supreme Court strikes down the executive order. If the court rules that the executive order is unconstitutional, meaning the 14th Amendment still guarantees citizenship to all babies born in the U.S. regardless of parent status, then birthright citizenship remains protected by law. However, the enforcement crackdown would still continue. So even if babies born in the U.S. remain citizens, the ability to get there to give birth would remain extremely difficult and risky. Scenario 3. A narrow or partial ruling. The court could also issue a more complex, nuanced ruling, perhaps limiting how injunctions work, or sending the issue back to lower courts. This would create ongoing uncertainty. Regardless of which scenario plays out, one thing is clear, the era of easy birth tourism to the United States is over. Whether it's the legal risk, the visa denial risk, the airport risk, or the potential that your baby may not even get citizenship after all, the calculus has completely changed. Population experts and immigration analysts warn that if the Supreme Court upholds the executive order, The consequences would be profound and far-reaching, not just for immigrants, but for the entire American demographic and workforce landscape. Okay, let's get very practical. Because I know that's what you came here for. What should you actually do if this affects you? If you are currently pregnant and were planning to travel to the US to give birth, please talk to a licensed immigration attorney before you do anything. Not a travel agent. Not a WhatsApp group advisor. A qualified immigration lawyer who understands US law. The risks right now are too high to rely on informal advice. Understand that even if you have a valid US visa, you can still be denied entry at the airport if a customs officer suspects your primary purpose is birth tourism. Having a visa does not guarantee entry. If you have already paid a birth tourism agency, you need to understand that these agencies are under federal investigation in the United States. You may have already lost your money. And if any misrepresentation was made on your visa application, meaning you said you were going for tourism but your real plan was to give birth, that is visa fraud. That is a serious offense that can result in a permanent ban from the United States. If your child was already born in the US, for now, right now, today, your child's citizenship should still be valid, because the executive order has been blocked by the courts and has not taken effect. Your child's US passport remains valid. However, watch the Supreme Court ruling closely because it could affect how things work going forward. If you are simply thinking about it and haven't done anything yet, don't. Not right now. Not until the legal landscape is clear. The risk of visa denial, airport detention, or even being permanently barred from the US is simply not worth it. If your goal is a better future for your child, there are legal immigration pathways, family visas, diversity visas, student visas, work visas, that don't put you in the crosshairs of federal law enforcement. For everyone, stay informed. Follow credible news sources. Subscribe to channels like this one where we break down travel and immigration news in a way that actually makes sense. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss updates, because the Supreme Court ruling could drop any day now, and when it does, things could change very quickly. I want to take a moment to zoom out and talk about the bigger picture here, because birth tourism doesn't exist in a vacuum. The United States under the current administration has taken a dramatically stricter approach to immigration across the board. We've seen crackdowns on illegal border crossings, changes to asylum rules, deportation flights, and now this, a direct assault on birthright citizenship, which has been a cornerstone of American identity for over 150 years. Supporters of these policies argue that birth tourism is a form of gaming the system, that wealthy foreigners are essentially buying US citizenship for their children without contributing to American society, and that this undermines the immigration system for people who go through the proper legal channels. Critics, including many constitutional lawyers, civil rights organizations, and immigrants' rights groups, argue that the 14th Amendment is crystal clear and that no executive order can override it. They say this crackdown is part of a broader nativist movement that ultimately harms America's reputation as a welcoming nation built by immigrants. Both sides make arguments. But whatever your position, the reality on the ground is this. The United States is not the same country it was 5 years ago when it comes to immigration. The welcome mat is not out in the same way. And anyone planning international travel, especially travel that intersects with immigration questions, needs to understand this new reality. Nigeria specifically has felt this change in multiple ways: visa fee increases, stricter screening, reciprocity policies, and now these direct warnings about birth tourism. We need to adapt. We need to be smarter. We need to plan differently. That's exactly what this channel is here to help you do. Okay, let's do a quick recap before I let you go, because I covered a lot today. 1. Birth tourism is the practice of traveling to the US to give birth so your baby gets automatic US citizenship under the 14th Amendment. TWO. President Trump signed Executive Order 14160 on January 20, 2025, which would end birthright citizenship for babies born to undocumented immigrants and visa holders. This order is currently blocked by the courts. 3. The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments on April 1, 2026, and a ruling is expected by late June or early July 2026. This ruling will be historic. 4. Separately from the court case, the U.S. government is already aggressively cracking down on birth tourism through visa denials, airport screening, and a dedicated ICE investigation unit. 5. The U.S. mission in Nigeria issued a direct warning in July 2025, and another sweeping crackdown was announced in June 2026, telling Nigerians that birth tourism is not permitted and visas will be denied. 6. Birth tourism agencies are under federal investigation, and running such an operation is a federal crime in the U.S. 7. The practical advice is, do not attempt birth tourism right now. Speak to a licensed immigration attorney if this affects you, and watch the Supreme Court ruling closely. That is the full picture. That is everything you need to know. Guys, I really hope this video gave you clarity. This is a topic that affects so many Nigerian families, and I want to make sure that the information you have is accurate, up-to-date, and actually useful, not the kind of half-story you pick up from a WhatsApp forward. If this video helped you, please do me a favor, hit the like button right now. It really helps this video reach more people who need this information. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because we have more immigration and travel updates coming, and you don't want to miss them. Drop your questions in the comment section below. I read every comment. If you have specific questions about your situation, ask, and I'll do my best to address them, either in the comments or in a future video. Also, share this video. Send it to that friend or family member who is thinking about birth tourism. It might save them from a very costly mistake. I'm your host on Social and Travels, and I'll see you in the next one. Safe travels, stay informed, and God bless you.